office of the president going after corrupt people. So that by the time na maminus-minus na, do not expect me to entirely clean as a pristine, clean bureaucracy. That is impossible and cannot really be achievable. Pero as we go along our way, marami na tayong talagang itong corruption. Policemen, PNP, na ang mga kasalanan itong related sa drugs, pati itong pera, malversation, there's only one penalty there. They should not be in government. They should be out in the streets.
The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. President Rodrigo Duterte has all but given up on his election promise to end corruption in the government during his term in office. But Duterte says he's still keen on going after corrupt officials before his presidency ends. To tell us more about this and other issues brought up at last night's IATF meeting, we have Maricel Halili. She's reporting to us live from Mandaluyong. Maricel, good morning. Since the president failed to end corruption within his first 6 months as promised, what is his new position regarding this?
Charles, President Duterte last night admitted that it is almost impossible to eradicate corruption, even though, as we all know, during his campaign, it is one of his advocacies. Aside from fighting illegal drugs, he is very sincere in saying that his target is to end corruption. But it seems impossible right now, according to the president. But he promised to spend the remaining months of his term focusing on this specific issue. Based on our observation and based on what the president have said, one of his strategy now is the shame campaign. If you notice, every time the president talks to the people weekly, he mentioned the names of those government personnel and officials involved in corruption. This is his way of shaming those who are in the government who are involved in corruption.
All right, moving on to COVID-related matters, Mase, which particular regions are still showing spikes in infections according to Secretary Duque, and which regions are showing slower infection rates?
Health Secretary Francisco Duque showed a lot of data last night, so it's kind of complicated. But to sum it up, basically he mentioned that some regions that have recorded a slight increase in COVID-19 cases include Region 7, Region 10, Region 4B, and some parts of the National Capital Region. But Secretary Duque mentioned that this is just a slight increase as compared to what we have expected during the holidays.
Masai, could you tell us how many regions have so far been affected by the virus mutations? Do we have any updates on biosurveillance efforts for these?
So far, what we know, Charles, is that the northern part of Luzon is affected with this mutation. Secretary Duque did not give an update as to how many cases of the new variant they have recorded, but he said that the health department is trying to improve its biosurveillance effort to the point that they can contact trace up to the 3rd generation. So they're hoping to improve this so that they can pinpoint the concerned areas that are affected.
All right, so since we are still showing spikes in infections in certain regions, once and for all, how can we say that we have flattened the curve?
If we compare the data back in January as to mid-February, Secretary Duque mentioned that there is a plateau on the number of cases. So in a way, it has flattened, or not really flattened, but just a slight increase. That's according to Secretary Duque, emphasizing that it seems that a number of people is now listening to the protocols of the government.
All right, that's good to hear, Masay. Let's talk about the government's vaccine plan. The national government, the LGUs, they're all getting ready to receive vaccines. What are the best and worst case scenarios as discussed by Secretary Galvez?
The target of the national government is to have herd immunity by this year or next year. Their objective is to inoculate at least 50 to 70 million Filipinos within a year. But as we all know, Charles, there's a delay on the delivery of vaccine. The first vaccine that we expect is Sinovac, and according to Sinovac General Manager Helen Yang, it seems that they still need a week before the delivery. So the best case scenario is to start it by March, hopefully within a week, because Secretary Roque said that we only need a day to prepare for to start the vaccination program. So that's the best case scenario. Well, the worst case, if there's another delay of the delivery of Sinovac, so we still don't know when the vaccination program will start.
All right, so much for the delay, but then how many doses have we actually secured overall, and how much more do we need to cover the government's target?
Secretary Galvez said last night that for the first quarter of this year, we're expecting about 5.1 million doses of vaccines. But this is relatively small as compared to our population. He said that we're expecting the bulk of vaccines by third or fourth quarter of this year. Secretary Galvez also mentioned that some of the local government units and the private companies have already give advance payment to those vaccine manufacturers, particularly AstraZeneca. So we were able to secure 17 million doses of this. But like what I said, the bulk of the delivery of vaccines will be on the third and fourth quarter of this year. Well, unfortunately, President Duterte said that about 75% of the supply of vaccines in the whole world were already acquired by 10 rich countries. So we're actually fighting for the remaining 25% of the vaccine supplies.
Right, Secretary Duque did talk about vaccination. He talked about Sinovac in particular, and he also discussed the fourfold effect of vaccination. Could you tell us more about this?
That's right. Secretary Duque emphasized last night what is the objective, why is there a need, or what are the objectives, why is there a need for the inoculation to start. Secretary Duque said that our objective is to, number one, reduce death. And then number two, reduce the number of symptomatic cases. Number three is to reduce the number of asymptomatic cases. And number four is to prevent hospitalization. He hopes that through this vaccination efforts against COVID-19, at least we can prevent severe COVID-19 cases.
All right, Masaya, what did the President have to say to the public while we await the rollout of vaccines?
Well, President Duterte asked for patience because he did mention that about 75% of the vaccine supplies has already acquired by 10 rich countries. So it is not easy for us to deal with the remaining 25%, considering that about 130 countries are fighting for this. So he's actually asking for patience, but for now, he calls on the public to follow the government protocols while waiting for the delivery of these vaccines.
Thanks for that, Masaya. That was Maricel Halili reporting live from Mandaluyong. The nursing community said they can't help but feel disturbed over the proposal to deploy more nurses to the UK and Germany in exchange for vaccines. This despite the Labor Department clarifying that they do not intend to treat nurses as commodities. On One News is the big story. Philippine Nurses Association President Melbert Reyes blasted the plan, saying nurses should not be seen as assets for trade. Reyes said the government could still lift the deployment cap, but only to give nurses the freedom to choose where they want to work. Reyes warns, though, that lifting the deployment limit on nurses may also affect our own healthcare system, especially during this pandemic.
The nursing community was disturbed with how it was expressed, na parang we are just a commodity na pwedeng i-trade for goods. Kahit na sabihin natin na it is for the benefit of the greater population, still it is unacceptable for us.
The country marks the 35th anniversary of the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution. But like other major events, commemoration ceremonies have been scaled down due to the pandemic. To give us details on the ground, we have with us Ryan Ang. He's reporting live from the People Power Monument in EDSA. Ryan, good afternoon. What do you have for us?
Charles, authorities are implementing strict security measures and health protocols here at the People Power Monument for the simple commemoration of the EDSA People Power Revolution. More than 2,000 PNP personnel were deployed in different control points surrounding the People Power Monument. Police officers carrying shields and yantok were already here as early as 4 a.m. They are here not only to secure the area, but also to make sure that those who will join the activities are observing minimum health protocols like wearing of face mask and face shield and social distancing. Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte led the flag-raising ceremony and wreath-laying ceremonies for the commemoration. The 35th anniversary of the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution bears the theme EDSA 2021, Kapayapaan, Paghilom, Pagbangon. But unlike in the past years, this year's commemoration was made simpler. There was no salubungan and the event had minimal attendees due to the pandemic. The main figures of EDSA were also not around. This year, former President Fidel Ramos was only represented by a former general. The program included the flag-raising rites, ecumenical prayer, wreath-laying rites, and the singing of Ang Bayan Ko and Magkaisa by Renz Verano. The usual yellow confetti was also changed to the main colors of the flag, which are red, blue, and white. The commemorative program was led by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines in coordination with the EDSA People Power Commission, Spirit of EDSA Foundation, and other national and local government agencies. Representatives from August 21 Movement, Chino Rosas Foundation, Human Rights Violations Victims Memorial Commission, and other national government and non-government agencies also graced the event. A Holy Mass in celebration of the event was also held online at the Shrine of Mary Queen of Peace at the EDSA Shrine at 9 a.m. Meanwhile, a man was invited to the police station after leaving a box near the People Power Monument. Authorities are still verifying the content of the box. Charles, the MMDA opened a zipper lane in Camp Aguinaldo Gate 5 for motorists going to EDSA. They also placed plastic barriers and traffic cones as guides. Traffic marshals were also deployed in the area, and as of now, militant groups are now here and are conducting their own programs. Charles?
Thank you. Ryan Ang reporting live from the People Power Monument in EDSA. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lehano. We are One News.